Alright, it's time to answer the sacred question. I think it goes deeper than just Gibson or Fender. Are you a single coil type of person, or are you a humbucker type of person? I've never told many people this story, but right after college, my first real job was working at this local guitar store in town. And while I only lasted about 30 days because I was a lazy 22-year-old with no work ethic, I do particularly remember the interview and the specific questions that the store owner actually had for me. I walked in super anxiously because I was like, what's this dude gonna ask me? Is he gonna ask me about like the specific wirings of a Les Paul from 2012 versus a Les Paul in 2013? No, he only asked me two questions. He asked me, how would you explain to someone the differences between a single coil and a humbucker? And for not having played guitar for very long at the time and the basic knowledge that I had, I said, listen, a single coil is something that you might find in a Strat, and a humbucker is something that you might find in like an SG or a Les Paul. Like I said, it was pretty simple, but it pretty much satisfied what he wanted to hear at the time. And I think most people would agree when it comes to the perception and the reputation of different instruments. The first thing most people would think of when they think of a single coil is a Strat, and the first thing someone would think of when they think of a humbucker is a Les Paul. But fast forward 5 years later, I finally get the chance to own my dream Strat. I mean, my dream Strat I talked about before, it's this American Professional 2. And what do you know? There's a humbucker in here. It sounds pretty freaking good. And now having the humbucker in this Strat, I knew there were only three possible choices that I could make. And I need help deciding, so should I A, return the guitar? Strats should never have a humbucker. B, hold a press conference and let the people decide. Or C, try to compare it with different guitars to see how it actually sounds. The results are in, and yes, we're going with option C. We're going with option C. So first of all, I want to actually introduce you to our players for the evening. Our first player for the evening is, like I said before, this American Pro 2 Stratocaster. I've had it for about 3 weeks and the tones are incredible. We're going to be using the bridge humbucker, which is actually a Fender 5 Mod 2. This does have the switch in the bridge pickup, but like I said, we're only going to be sticking to the humbucker in this one. And our second player is my Les Paul Tribute that I've had for about 6 months. It's got the satin finish. I really like it. And in the bridge that we'll be comparing, it has the Gibson 490T. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mic it up and we're gonna get to work. All right, so we're gonna start with the Strat because she's our newest addition. See how the clean tone sounds. All right, now let's try the Les Paul. Put this down. I feel like this is the part everyone's been waiting for. Basically, we're doing bridge humbuckers, so we need a dirty tone. So I'm gonna turn on the Boss DS1, see what happens. My neighbors won't like this. I like this a lot, bro. My hand just sort of goes to the whammy as like a default because that's just all I play now, so I think it'll be interesting. It's just different going to Les Paul. that's spicy. It's interesting too just how much your mindset changes when you're like picking this up in your head. You're like, oh, I am Joe Bonamassa now. Picking up the other one, you're like, oh, maybe I want to play like Clapton. I did it on my last video. I want to try it now. Everything is dimed out on the amp. I want to see the tone. You know how Clapton has the woman tone? Well, that's the dad tone. From now on, we're calling that the dad tone. So I want to see how it sounds like on the Strat. So it's cool to see the differences between the two. I think it's kind of like the iPhone Android debate, just take that in terms of guitars, but I'm not really trying to like see which one is better in this video particularly. I'm just trying to compare the differences. And like I said before when I was comparing, it's weird to think about not just the differences in the actual tones, but how you actually think about the guitar and the ways and the stuff you actually, that your fingers and that your ears are drawn to when you think about the different guitars. I like the sound of the Strat with the humbucker. I think it'll be a cool tonal option. I've talked about it before in a couple of videos, just being a bedroom player myself. When I can have that bridge pickup in a Strat not be something as noisy and have that humbucker variation in there that I can use, that makes a world of difference in here, especially when I'm trying to like really rip a solo that can cut through like a rock mix, or even in a live setting where I can go from like playing rhythm on the neck pickup but then hit that bridge and people were like, oh, is he playing a different guitar? That sounds awesome. Anyway, I want to know what you think. What did you think about the tonal differences between the Strat and the Les Paul, especially in this video? Which ones did you like? What did you like about each of them? Also, like, what's your go-to? Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. Pulling out 2 guitars for a video was really cool. I've had this guy for 6 months, like I said, and this guy for about 2 weeks, and it's like going back and forth between which ones I'm gonna bring to gigs and which ones I'm using for different specific purposes. And as usual, if you want to find out like the tones that I use for this specific video, or just more about like these different guitars or where you can get them, they're both from Sweetwater. Make sure to check them out. Like I said in the last video, they're still running some killer Black Friday and just like Christmas time deals, so make sure to check it out if you need new gear. And most important of all, like literally the most important thing I could tell you, have a great day.